So, this is a game called Ticket to Europe, and this is a game I spent like 7, maybe even 8 years developing it with a bunch of crazy people. And the actual development took about 3 years, but the first 5 years was learning how to doing a game development at all, and raising funding for this game. And this is quite of a socially engaged game, because it is a text-based RPG about refugees, inspired by real story of refugees. Because during the research, we went to the Moria refugee camp, where we showed the prototype of this game to refugees. And after receiving a feedback from them, I realized that this first prototype was like very naive. So I put into the trash about 600 pages of script, and then after a short mental breakdown, I started from scratch, and then I wrote another, this time 1200 pages of script. Yeah, which is the script of this final version, and I'm gonna show you the demo of this game. Yes, we've got about the game is hand drawn. There are about 100 hand drawn illustrations in it. There are also some animated maps and 90 minutes of original soundtrack. So here we go with a new game. I would not read all of the text, but I will tell you a little about the game. In this game, you play as a journalist who is researching on refugees, because your main aim is to the protagonist's aim is to do something really significant for the first time in his life, and he decided to go to Africa and meet refugees, learn their stories, and then together with them find smugglers and take part in a well-known from the political issues odyssey from Africa to Europe. So the main aim of the protagonist is to collect notes in this game, and notes are something like achievements, but they are some quite more meaningful than achievements, I would say, because notes are like materials you are gathering for the reportage about refugees, and there are more than 100 nodes hidden in this game. So there's a lot of things to discover, and this game is very non-linear, with thousands, and I mean literally thousands of dialogue choices, multiple endings, and yeah, a lot of things you could roleplay into. And here we are, chapter 1, Home Bitter Home. The cursor is blinking in the white background of an empty page. Your flight is in a couple of hours. And here are some dialogue options you could choose here, and the game really remembers what you choose. For example, if I choose this one option, this is a cynicism path, and now I got this tag called cynicism, and the tags are something that describes your character, but also the items you possessed, and a lot of mental states you are actual in, and health conditions and stuff like that. And there are literally hundreds of tags in this game, and they really influence the playthrough. Okay, but we will go with the speeding. We are going to speeding this playthrough. So I will take the options that will. I know the game quite well, so I know what to click if I want to speeding. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, you started in this place, which is actually quite normal room of an average, let's say, 30 years old guy, and that was one of my artistic decisions, because I'm a lead writer of the game, to start the game about refugees in a most similar place for the players, so they can immerse more to the protagonist, with the protagonist, and into the world, described world. So what could be more relatable for the player than starting a game with the protagonist sitting in the front of his laptop and just preparing for an adventure, the big adventure which gonna start just in a few hours, and it's gonna be like traveling to the different continents and searching for refugees and learning of their stories. So yeah, we are still in the apartment and somebody is coming in, and this is our ex-girlfriend called Hela, and here are some dialogue choices, and she is here to collect a cat that was a pet that was your and her during your relationships, but now obviously you are the owner, but now when you are living, somebody has to take care of this cat. And this is kind of the revenge path, this is kind of the diary of my own pity narcissism path, and this is like a quite normal path. So let's go with this one. I will show her how great I'm doing without her. I'm about to leave for Africa to fulfill my dreams and write a book. When we were together, I would have never dared to do that. Now I'm a better man, stronger, and I accomplish it on my own without her. I can hear footsteps. And here the girl is coming, the ex-girl. Hella looks older. She is older, of course, but it is not about maturing. She just looks unwell, tired and almost unhappy. Hi, she says. I will grab the cat and go. Magic's double park in front of your building. Here we go. As soon as she opens her mouth, she brags about someone waiting for her. She's dealing the cards as usual. Okay, but let's just speed a little bit more with this sequence with our ex-girlfriend, because as I mentioned, this is a game about refugees, but there is also a lot, really a lot of some existential part in this game. It is not only an educational one, but also an existential one, and adventurous. And now we are heading, flying to Alexandria in Egypt, the city of Alexandria, where our proper journey actually begins. And here you can find my name and the name of the main designer of the game. So here we are in Alexandria. As you can see, the illustration has changed. As I mentioned before, there are about 100 hand-drawn illustrations in this game. So now we are in a different continent actually, and what we are thinking about it. Does it put us in a vacation mode, or this is a new reality? Let's go with a vacation mode. Oh, and now we got the tag relaxation. As I mentioned before, tags are something that describes your character, and now we are a relaxed protagonist. So let's go. Here we are in this strange exotic place with an Arabic alphabet, and here we are feeling this, being under the spell of a traveler's freedom. Adventure calls, curiosity beckons. We're looking at the people, and we are hungry, and we get the first note. As I mentioned before, notes are pretty important in this game, because your main aim is to write a reportage about refugees, so you go to Africa to make research on them, and this is actually the main aim of your game, to collect those notes. They are quite like an achievement, but more meaningful, and there are about 100 achievements, 100 notes hidden in this game, and the more notes you collect, the better reportage you're gonna write in the epilogue of the game. And here is a notepad where you can find which notes you already collect. Okay, and let's go. As we are on the airport and we are planning our first day, first evening, maybe even afternoon in an Alexandria of Egypt, and we got some contacts to, but we don't know exactly what ones. We have to check it, and yeah, let's check the contacts. One is Isaac, and he's a native Egyptian, and his profile reads Isaac, or actually Ishaq Ahmed Mahmoud Ahmed Mohammed. He's a fixer. He lives off his contacts. He knows anyone in Alexandria. He charges for everything. And here's a warning: he's a shady guy, and we should stay vigilant. His personal data is incomplete. As a shady guy. The date and place of birth are missing, and there is a cartoon of Robin Hood instead of his photo. There is only his phone number and the detailed address of his place of residence. And I have another contact here. Those are the contacts I will choose from where I want to go in this playthrough. And here's Eric. He's a Belgian volunteer. And what else can we learn about him? He's a humanitarian aid agent. He used to volunteer in Europe, but now he launched his own project in Africa. An idealist, kind of a hippie, a man of action, always busy, rarely picks up his phone during the day. Call him multiple times, don't hold back. And we've got some Q&A with Eric. Should we take this Q&A or not? I think we should, because I have a funny story to tell about this Q&A. Yeah, and here are a list of about 57 questions. Of course, we don't have to read all of them, and there are only a few of them prepared. But okay, there are the Q&A, which was sent to this volunteer before we went to do research in Alexandria in Egypt. So we can check his answers, what he says. So let's check question 8. What are the potential dangers for people sailing on a boat? Answer is sinking and drowning. That's true. What do refugees eat up on their journey? They do not. True. So what would happen if someone in the camp were a member of ISIS? And the answer is no answer. What is the daily cost of maintaining one immigrant at the camp? They are refugees, not immigrants, and you can Google it. Okay, so come on, Eric, maybe you could give me like an answer to just one question, okay? Let's check the question number 30. Do you know any examples of the refugees' creative work, such as songs, poems, and drawings? Yes, all of this. If so, which ones? Come and see for yourself. The other questions. Yeah, and the funny story I want to tell you about this sequence is that this is actually a true and real sequence, because during the research process for this game, I contacted with some volunteer who was working with refugees on the Greek island of Lesbos, and I sent him the list of about 60 questions, and they were like very stupid and very naive questions. This kind of questions that he only provides me with one sentence or only one word answers. So after I received those answers, I felt like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. After reading all those books about refugees, after watching all those documentaries, I am still so stupid, and I cannot even ask questions which are worth proper answers. And yeah, I have a short mental breakdown after that, but a few months passed, and then in the final version of the game, I put those questions and those answers into the final script, and that was the sequence I just shared with you. Yeah, so there is a lot of true stories in this game. The other questions are answers are written in similar vein. And give this is the story I just told you about. It's the bigger things on mind, right? Yeah. That was also my conclusion after this sequence, after receiving this answer. Having read a couple dozen non-fiction books on Africa and the Middle East, I know nothing about refugees. I can't even ask a question worthy of a longer answer. That is nothing more. So now we know we got like 2 contacts arranged in Egypt, in Alexandria, and now we have to decide where what we're gonna do during our first day here in Africa, and we can go and start to work to make some proper interviews, or we can fuck that and let's wing it. Yeah, and okay, I think that we would we will go for a walk today. Okay, as I mentioned before, I'm a little bit speeding this playthrough because this is like not an official stream, but I just feel this call to make the stream right now. So now we have to decide where we're gonna go, to the Eric, or to Eric, to Isaac, or should we just start writing right away? And I think we can go with Eric. Let's call him. At 6 p.m. I suspect the 8 worker won't even look at his phone, but he picks up 2 tones after 2 tones. Mr. Sonkamp, I ask, surprised, as he quick response. At his quick response. How are you? Yay! Hey, got a moment? Eric interrupts me. He speaks with a high brown British accent. He gets straight to the point without waiting for my answer. Why don't you drop by right now? It's all hands on deck. Come on, we are waiting. He gives me the address of the Home of Hope and hangs up without a goodbye. I never even introduced myself. Yeah. So, should we go there? Yeah, let's go there. Yeah, and here you can see one of the maps. There are also some maps in the game, so you could immerse more deeply into this vibe of being in a journey. Actually, the game in this game, in the demo, you could only travel and explore one city, which is Alexandria. But in the final version of the game, then there would be 5 countries you could visit and 1 sea to cross. And in a demo, the whole action take place in about in a 1 day, in the first day of our journey, and the final version of the game took place during about 2 months. So it's a pretty long game. There's single playthrough should take about 10 hours, I suppose, but there is so much different paths you could play, and different NPCs you can meet, and multiple epilogues, that the content in total in this game is more than 30 hours. Yeah, and I mean more. It is more. So now we are in a taxi, and so young taxi driver is here with us, and he's listening to some rap gangsta beats from the Bronx. So should we listen to the music, talk to him, or admire the landscapes? Let's talk to him. Excuse me, I begin. Can I ask you something? He does not respond, and the taxi is still vibrating from the powerful bass. I don't think he can hear me. Yeah, I wave my hand. I wave my hand to get his attention. The driver notices my gesture in the rear view mirror and turns the music down. What's up? Radio too loud? I explain I want to talk. The Egyptian looks back over his shoulder and sneers at me. Oh yeah? What about? Yeah, and as we are here to make a research on refugees, so let's try to talk about refugees. So, you are another one of those, huh? The driver sighs and rolls his eyes. I hoped you guys would get bored of this by now. It's been so many years and you still come here like flies to shit. Sorry, homie, wrong address. I have nothing to say about that. Screw politics. And he turns the music back up. A couple of rap tracks later. Yeah. Oh, and here's a timer, because some decisions here, you need to make this decision, to make a call in the right time, and it's running up. So yeah, stop the car. I ordered the driver right now. And there was some tourist or backpacker, or oh no, it was a dark-skinned girl who was here on a highway, and there was a piece of cardboard with Europe written on it. So maybe she is a refugee looking for a road to Europe, and maybe we should investigate her. I mean, interview her, because why to investigate her? There's nothing shady in it. Okay, so ask her for an interview or offer woman a ride to Alexandria. What should we choose? I will ask her for an interview. The girl shrugs, but she agrees. She has nothing better to do right now anyway. She's stuck on the side of this road. Thank you so much. You'll be the first one. I pull my notebook out of my pocket. Allow me to take notes. I haven't had the opportunity to talk face to face with a refugee. A refugee? The girl laughs. You are mistaken. I'm a Danish reporter, or half Danish, to be precise. My dad was born in Turkey. I'm traveling along the land trail from Africa to Europe. I want to experience firsthand the kind of struggles of the refugees are going through. She's a competition, or she's a friendly soul? Let's go with a competition. I apologize for the confusion. I say goodbye awkwardly and get back to the taxi. It is only when the doors close that I express my embarrassment with a facepalm. I didn't expect that. Who would have thought that I would find a journalist in Africa sooner than I find a refugee? 15 minutes later. Oh, and we collect another note. So now we've got like 2 notes. So we are gathering more and more materials for our reportage. Yeah. And yeah, so what to choose now? What to choose now? Oh, nothing to choose, because we just arrived at the right place, which is Home of Hope. Yeah, and Home of Hope is some kind of a place where this guy called Eric, a volunteer, is helping refugees. So this is how it looks like. And this feels like a music festival. And should we look for Eric right away, or should we talk to the refugees? Let's talk to the refugees. Women or men? Loudly gossiping or sitting in silence? Let's go with gossiping. They offer me a cigarette and invite me to join their circle. Without stopping the discussion, they switch to English. I'm guessing that they don't want to feel excluded. A moment later, I realize that, despite the light tone, rather than chatting about trivial matters, they are debating regional politics. And here are some information about Bashar al-Assad. Because in this game, you could really learn a lot about the Middle East and Africa, and the politics and the daily life in these regions. Who would have thought that he would hold on to power for so long? Yeah, let's take part in this discussion. Indeed, answers one of the Syrians, Karim. Who would have thought that the previous president's favorite son would occupy the position for which he was the sole candidate? It's almost as if Syria wasn't a democracy. Oh, I sense some irony in his voice. I think so. The men smirk at my question and continue the discussion. This upcoming March, 9 years will have passed since the outbreak of the war in Syria. And he thinks that this conflict will last another decade. Yeah, and here we are some informations you can learn about the situation in Syria. And should we try to take part in this conversation again, or I keep my thoughts to myself? Last time our comment was quite stupid, so maybe this time we're gonna shut our mouth. The situation seems too complicated for me to grasp it. The Syrians finished their cigarettes, and we got a new note. We gathered some information on situation in Syria, on very problematic situation, and we got the note called the Georgians Knot of Syria. Here it is, the third note. So we are doing quite well. We already got 3 notes. They finish their cigarettes and they suddenly get serious. Alright, enough of that relaxation, says Karim. Let's talk serious business. Well, they were just, for the few last minutes, they were like only discussing the really problematic and unsolvable political situation in Syria. And wasn't that serious business? That? Karim shrugs. That's just the daily stuff. You get used to it after a decade. The front line moves 5 kilometers to the east, 5 kilometers to the south. A bomb explodes here and there. What's the difference? It's like talking about the weather. There's always some sort of the weather. What can we do about it? There are so many other things we have a bit of little influence over. Those are worth talking about. Like what we are having for dinner, another guy joins in. Vegetable stew or fish stew? And another note, work can be ordinary. For a moment, I think they are joking, but then they start discussing for nutritional value of white fish and carrots, and quoting relevant research, I realize that they are dead serious about culinary debates. Can you help me find Eric? Yeah, because we are here to talk with Eric. Can you hear the noise? Follow it, and you can find Mr. Sonken. I follow the sun. And there is some nice smell. Somebody's cooking something. Yeah, let's ask the cook what's inside. Whatever's around, he says simply. They brought in flounder yesterday, fresh from the sea. I made stock, added peppers, tomatoes, lots of cumin, and some coriander that's growing around the corner. Do you want to try it? Yeah, let's try it. And now we got a tag, and as I mentioned before, tags describes your personality, and there are hundreds of tags in this game. And now we got a tag called Gourmand. And our state is relaxation and hunger. And I take, but now we are eating something, and we got some reflections on the taste of it, and it's delicious. And we got another note. We got a really nice playthrough here. And yeah, because we ate something, now the tag hunger is removed, so we are no longer hungry. And about the notes, we've got like 5. This is nice, really nice. And here's Eric, an older guy with long graying brown hair, is standing there with a chainsaw in his hand, trying to start it back. The heavy prop gives the 60-year-old the vigor and charisma of a real manly man. His face looks familiar. I recognize it from pictures. There you are, finally. Come here, help me carry this lock. I help him. Good. Hold it for me. Eric turns on the saw. He doesn't wait for my signal, just begins to cut. See how smoothly it goes through? You are cutting lengthwise. This will be great for construction. I try to talk, or I focus on the work. No, I'm here to talk, not work. The rumbling whir is making my eardrums explode. Despite this, I try to talk, but Sonkamp silences me instantly. Focus on the work, he tells me. I focus on the work. Turn it over. I turn it over. Pull. I pull. Move it. I move it. Splinters are getting into my soft hands. They are not used to physical labor, but I say nothing. Finally, we are done. The lock has been cut into neat blocks. Good, now you know how it's done. See that pile? Sonkamp points to a dozen similarly massive locks. Work them like I just taught you, and then we will talk. So, should we agree to his conditions that we have to work so he could agree to talk to us, or should we try to go straight to the business? Yeah, let's go straight to the business. I came here to talk, not do woodworking. I will manage myself then, Eric shrugs. What do you want to talk about? I'm thinking about how I want to play this out. Eric already knows that I'm planning to pose as a refugee in order to cross the Mediterranean Sea. I am sure he takes me for just another journalist who comes to Africa to see the scale of the migration crisis firsthand, writes about it, publishes the text, and then forgets all about it. For him, people like me are a dime a dozen, and yet he's always helped them. What is going to what is he going to say about my idea? Yeah, actually our idea is pretty crazy because our idea is to pretend to be one of the refugees and this way get access to the smuggler's boats. And yeah, this is pretty crazy idea. So I think we're gonna lie. And now we got a tag called Liar. So our character is Gourmand and Liar. Lying Gourmand. Okay. As I mentioned before, these tags are pretty important in the game because in the later playthrough, depends on tags we got, we're gonna have different dialogue options and choices. So Eric kills the engine. They're silent. And he didn't answer our question, but he was like doing his woodwork. Woodwork relaxes me, he says, throwing cotton logs onto the separate heap. A man feels he's doing something tangible, real. It is the same thing with refugees. That's why I'm here, because I want to do something that will have a tangible impact on the world. Do you understand? And not waiting for my answer, as is his custom, apparently, he turns the saw and gets back to work. He must not have heard me at all. Either that, or he didn't listen. I wait for another break. But Sondcam doesn't let me say a word. Listen, friend, he says, looking into the distance. I have no time to chat today. If you can't help me, at least don't distract me. Come back tomorrow, if you find the time. And then he gets back to work. And I go back to the hotel. I take the lift to the 9th floor. I'm exhausted physically because I do some woodwork. I desire to ride, and here is our room in the hotel. And yeah, why not make ourselves a drink? And let's start with a bourbon. Okay, and what next? Let's go with a cognac, and now we are pretty drunk. Which is now here miscellaneous. Yeah, we are drunk. When I get to the cognac, I test the swivel chair at the desk. It's soft and comfortable, too comfortable for a writer, I think. Sitting in it may drain me of my motivation to finish my texts. That's a nice booze. Let's go with vodka. My ritual ends with one last punch, a simple vodka, which goes straight to my brain. That's a nice buzz. I can start writing. Yeah. You think you can start writing, being drunk. I pick a playlist on my phone and press play. There is a notification on my phone telling me that I have 3 missed Skype calls from Jędrzej, that's my publisher. I was supposed to call him as soon as I reach the hotel. I call Jędrzej back or I'll start writing. Oh my god. Myself, as a writer, I hate those situations when I want to write, but there is something that I have to do, and if I won't call him back, I will still thinking that he might call me, and I wouldn't focus enough on writing, so let's call him back, being drunk. It is Jędrzej, and he asks us, have you found your refugee yet? And our answer is true, not yet. This is true. I answered truthfully. What have you been doing today then? Jędrzej continues his interrogation in a tone so harsh, it could peel that skin off the heels of my feet. I get off my chair and start pacing the room nervously. Tell him the truth or lie? Yeah, let's tell him the truth, nothing wrong happened. I recap my day for him. I try to mask my failure to follow the plan with my enthusiasm. So, in short, you mean you are fucking around? Jerzy interrupts me. Remember, I have paid for 2 nights in Alexandria. Not one more. Find a refugee who will connect you with smugglers. If you prefer partying here... Come on, I was doing woodwork, not partying. It's your choice. But to be true, I did get like a bourbon, cognac and vodka, so yeah, maybe I did party a little. But you will be paying for each day of your own pocket. Next order of business, the receipts. Oh my god, this is so boring what he's going to tell me. I'm not in the mood for technicalities. Hello, hello! I say louder than necessary. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Hello? I can't hear you, I lie. We are breaking up. I think I've got a bad connection. Never mind then, I will text you. These details are important. And he hangs up. And there is a silence. It helps me focus. I sit back at the desk and open up my notebook. I look through, and here we can resume what we managed to do during this first day, which note did we collect it, and now we can have some reflections, deeper reflections on them, because we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes. And now let's check something about the Gordian knot of Syria. Remembering what the Syrians at the Home of Hope said about the war in their country, I opened the browser to get up to speed. I jot down the dates and the most important turning points of the conflict. I read the latest news, the research. It takes about an hour of my life. Afterwards, I feel even more lost in the intricacies of the war than I was after my visit at Home of Home. Let's go to another entry. And let's go with first impressions. Yeah, and here we can actually decide what we're thinking, what was our first impression, and what if we want to focus on some kind of meta reflection or describe some details of architecture, I suppose, or should we focus on people? Yeah, let's go with the people. Yeah, and now let's move to another entry. There is this entry about work can be ordinary, and our reflection about it is: over the years they have learned that they are just pawns on the political board, move against their will on every whim of a group of powerful men. War, death and tragedy have become their daily bread. It is routine, repetitive, uninteresting. Perhaps that is why they discuss seemingly ordinary subjects more amendedly. The food, camp gossip, the scale of personal tragedy translate directly into a hunger for normal conversation. Here, regular small talk about nothing, which most Poles would consider boring, is the most desired social currency. Yeah, and we've got this recorded discussion about code and zucchini as faithfully as I can. Yeah, let's go for another entry. Africa, more reporters than refugees. Reporters hyenas, one of which I'm proudly aspire to be, have become a fixture of 20th century humanitarian disasters. Under the guise of noble intentions, they have invented a new type of tourism. They travel wherever tragedy strikes to feed on people's suffering, like emotional scavengers or vampires with oversized egos. In several paragraphs, I condemn the humanitarian business, the adrenaline junkie war correspondents, the aid organizations making fortunes on natural disasters, and other enthusiasts of human suffering, including huge foreign aid organizations like Oxfam, which grow astronomically rich on human tragedy in various parts of the world, and the media are only just catching on. Most of all, I expose my own cynical motivations behind going to Africa. After all, I'm planning to build my career on refugees. Yeah, here some kind of a meta reflection. where you can see how this script of this game reflects our struggling with the subject, also with game development. Because, as I mentioned before, we actually went to the refugee camp. We talked with a lot of refugees. We even showed them the prototype of the game, and that was very strange feeling. And it I I was literally mind fucked after this experience, uh, and I put a lot of reflections on that in the script of this game. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. I don't need to write anything else. Feeling like I have fulfilled my literary duty, I can finally go to bed. My first day in Africa has come to an end. Yeah, and this is the end of the Ticket to Europe demo. This is only one of the many playthroughs you could check in this demo. You could go and not even meet Eric. You can try to meet the other contact you got here, the fixer called Isaac, or you can don't even bother refugees on the first day and get some crazy YOLO adventures here. But I don't want to spoil too much. Uh, you can check it for yourself by launching a demo and playing it for yourself. The demo is about 5, maybe 8% of the whole game, and I think that single playthrough of this game, the final version of it, should take about, I think, 10 hours, but there's about 30, maybe even 35 hours of content in total, so you can play like for 3 times, and you still will be able to discover some hidden scenes, new NPCs, discover different places, travel through different paths leading to multiple different epilogues. Yeah, so this is all what I want to share with you today, and in 1.5 hour at 10 p.m. there's gonna be an official stream, and hopefully see you then. Thank you.